Hey, what's up? I want to make a follow-up video on my old Game Boy video where I showed you how to make an adjustable front light. I've got it all working now. Different color back. Didn't have a red one. I've only got yellow and blue. I didn't have a red one, so I had to go with the yellow, but I think it looks pretty good. Anyways, let me show you how it works. As you can see, there is front light. And if I turn off my lights, you can see if I turn this potentiometer, it gets brighter. You can't really see because my camera is garbage quality, but it does adjust. Maybe you can see better like this. You can see it's brighter and back down. On top of that, I have a rechargeable battery. And I'll just show you how I fit everything in. If you remember last time, I had terrible issues with the way I put everything together. If you watched my last video, you would have seen what happened. Here's actually another back. But what I ended up doing was I wanted to put the charging port on the bottom and the adjustable dimmer on the side. So I put it right there and I cut it out. Whoops. I made a hole originally, but I actually put it on the wrong side. So I tried to make a second hole, but I couldn't. So I just cut it out. It looks like crap. And I put the charger on the bottom, which would have been the ideal solution in my mind. But it just didn't work out. And it's super ugly. So I learned from my mistakes. And I redid it a different way. So let me show you how I did it. I guess before I take anything apart, let me show you how it all works. You saw that I have the adjustable right there, which if you look on another Game Boy, they already have a hole there anyways for the DC in if you want to run your Game Boy on instead of batteries, you want to run it on wall power. You can do that, but that means that I didn't have to drill a second hole. And I wanted to get the potentiometer knob like through it, and I still could, but I'm just too lazy. And then the charger I have on this side, which looks ugly for sure. You can definitely put way more time into it, but I don't really care. And then you can obviously plug it in. You can see that my charger actually fits perfectly into the hole without any gaps. And there's a red LED, right? When it's charging, and then when it's fully charged, it's either blue or green, I can't remember. But either way, that's how it works. Let me just show you how I managed to fit it all in. Okay, so I got it disassembled. And you can unsolder the battery if you want to make it easier for yourself or whatever. But here's the way I did it. You can see the components I put in. There's the charging module chip thing here, which just pretty much regulates how the battery charges so it doesn't overcharge and all that stuff. And then you have your potentiometer right here. I'll show you how all that is done. And everything will run like this. You don't need the cover on, obviously. All I really did was I put the charging, the little board, the little chip board or whatever the fuck you would call it, right here on the side. If you want, there's still space. You know, there's plenty of space between the edge of it. You can see if I take something, the board is way out here. You have space till about right here. Here you have maybe a good, I don't know, 1/8 inch almost to move it even closer out that way. And then you can make your cutout so that only the actual charging port pokes through. What I tried to do on the last one, which made it so difficult, was just get rid of this charging port, completely take it off, and then with wires route it somewhere else. The issue is that the solder points would break off and you won't be able to solder back onto the board, or the solder pads, so that's just a big issue. So just to show you better, the positive and negative on the little charging chip or module are just soldered with wires straight to the negative and positive on the board. So that way when the battery's connected, right, like this, all the power from the battery just goes straight to the terminals where power would get to originally with batteries, like non-rechargeable batteries that you just put in. Secondly, I removed the DC-DC chip that was originally here to make room for the potentiometer. I used a strange potentiometer, but it actually works out really well because it pretty well fits the hole here. This hole's a little bit too big. If it was a little smaller, it'd be really nice. Now let's just go a little bit deeper in so I could show you what's on the other side. So the potentiometer is wired the exact same way as I showed before. You have the positive coming off from the front light kit, going into a resistor, from the resistor to one of the leads on the potentiometer. The negative goes straight to, the negative. They both connect to the same terminal that gets power. And then the middle one is just connected to positive. So actually to get this off, which is why I hate doing this, I need to unsolder these wires. Alright, there you go. So now this comes off. Right, here's here's the wires for the front light off of the actual screen. If you take a look at the board, I actually directly wired the positive terminal to these 2 points. There's 2 points right here, very small, that actually supply power. Well, actually, let's see if you follow the trace. Pretty sure it goes all the way up through the terminal, or through that, and then it gets to the switch, the power switch, the actual power switch. If you look on the power switch, I can't really show you right now because of the camera, but you can, take a look at yours or look it up or something. But you have 4 pins for the switch. The very top one is positive, and then I think the second one is just a dummy one, and then it's negative, negative, I think. I can't remember exactly, but it's something like that. You really only need, I'm pretty sure you only need the top one and maybe the bottom two, but don't quote me on that, I'm not entirely too sure. But what happened the first time when I did this is I turned the resistance all the way down to 0 and it blew out and I wasn't getting any positive power to the top pin. So that's why I have this wire here. So now that doesn't really happen again, plus I have a proper resistor there. But that circuit's all the exact same, it's just in a different position. On top of that, because I had to remove the DC-DC, you actually have to wire pins 2 and pins 3 to each other. Now all of this is stuff you can already find in other videos. It's not anything new. I'll even link down below a good video on how to put a rechargeable battery into one of these where it shows, routing everything out for the battery, how to hook up the charging module and everything, and that you have to wire these pins 2 and 3. So if you want to check that out, I'll link it below. I'll also put below the battery I used. I think this one fits a little bit better than the one the person used in the video. I can't remember who posted the video, sadly, but I'll still post it in the description once I find it. They used a little bit bigger battery in the head. I think if I remember correctly, a little bit of troubles fitting it all in. But this one fits so damn well. If I put the leads through where they should be, that just fits flawlessly, really. You don't need to cut that much. Honestly, you don't really need to cut a whole lot anyways. You really just need to have small holes there. Or even better yet, I think there's already holes there. You can just put the wires through and connect it all that way. And then you don't even need to have to deform this. You could still put batteries in later on if you want to. But yeah, I'll link below this one. And then obviously the cover fits on perfectly without any modifications. No pressure or anything. So yeah, that's really about it. I just wanted to update you guys on how this project is going. I think one more thing I want to do is maybe add one of those speed controllers where you can overclock the board and then have a controller for how fast the game is running. So then you can play up to, I think, double speed or something. But aside from that, I really just need to clean this board. It's a kind of dirty board. Some of the pads are a little rough and they don't actually, it's hard to get contact when pressing some of the buttons. Alright, so I have it all cleaned. Hopefully now all the buttons work properly. Let me assemble this just to show you how I do it. I have the positive run off to the side and the negative come out of the bottom. Right. Make sure this tab, the ribbon cable is on top. Put the speaker in its place. Make sure the wires you need are accessible. I usually put in the middle screw. It's the Phillips that holds the board down to the shell. Solder the positive to my resistor. Press it down into place so it doesn't get in the way, because there's the screw right here. And I don't want this interrupting with that or this hole right here. You can see I have some electrical tape underneath the resistor wire so that doesn't contact anything and potentially short something, and also in this little piece. You could use probably better off with Kapton tape or something, or maybe paint some, I don't know, nail polish or something just to isolate it. Whatever you do is fine as long as it's isolated. You might not even need to isolate it, but I felt like it's a good precaution because who knows what can happen. Alright, now for the annoying one, just because of the way I have all this configured. You can obviously maybe find smaller potentiometers or ones that are configured a little bit differently. Or maybe place it in a different spot. You can try maybe putting it here and then drilling a small hole like I did, as long as you make sure you're drilling it in the right place, unlike I did. There you go, easy peasy. Don't forget to connect your ribbon cable. I don't know, I do all the soldering first before I connect the ribbon cable, just in case I gotta take it apart. I don't want to have to do that again. It's just easy. Okay, now the good thing about having one of these batteries is you don't really need to put the back cover back on in batteries to test it. It's just temporary solder to test. And turns on. And we get sound. Now let me actually solder these on a little bit nicer. There you go. Solder's aren't going to go anywhere. Take my battery, feed it through. I think I said it before, but I might have cut this part out of the video. But you don't need to cut such a big gap like I did. I only did it so that I could obviously put the battery in and out easily. You can see it just barely fits. But you could just have two small holes, kind of like on this side, just for the leads to go through. Make sure your potentiometer twisty thing lines up with the hole, if you're using that hole or not. Well, one thing I forgot. Very important thing I forgot. Happens to me every freaking time I put this thing together. The power button. Custom black from Handheld Legends. If you guys don't shop at Handheld Legends, highly, highly recommend it. It's an amazing website. Amazing people, everyone that works there is great. Not affiliated in any way, but I've bought from them several times. And they're great, so don't mind promoting good companies. They sell everything handheld related, mostly Game Boy stuff. You know, DMGs, Game Boy Colors, any accessory you want, mods. If you want shells, replacement back covers, I don't know, glass screens, which I have on here. Nice glass screen, custom buttons, these are their black. And the screen is also black instead of probably can't tell how much on camera, but it's like a light gray compared to the full black. If I get light on them, you can see this one's way darker, and the buttons too. So because of the extra stuff we have on the bottom, aka the potentiometer, or i.e. the potentiometer, I guess, I actually need to tighten these screws down just a little bit more to close the bottom completely flush. Not a big deal, but it leaves no gap. It looks nice. And of course, you can test it and check it out. Now, honestly, this adjustable light is probably the greatest thing ever. Because without it, it's just too bright a lot of time. If you're in a bright area like I am now, I don't need this bright. And at night, I'm not gonna say that it's too bright, but you just don't need it to be this bright all the time. I just threw in Pokemon Yellow, so I usually keep it on the lowest setting. So it looks very similar to as if it didn't. Not on camera, but in person, it actually doesn't look all that different from original. Obviously, side by side, it's on camera, it's very apparent. But in person, it's not that big of a difference, actually. And in the dark, it plays well. And the colors are great. So that's it. Hope you guys have enjoyed the follow-up. Maybe it'll give you guys some inspiration to do this on your own. Maybe even improve it. Probably improve it. And if you do improve it, or just try to do it on your own, shoot me a message and let me know. I know front light is kind of obsolete nowadays. Everyone's doing the Benvan, you know, what do they call it? The shack box or whatever. I can't remember. But, you know, everyone's doing that with the backlight, and it looks fantastic. And before that, people were putting the AGS 101 screens in there, and that obviously works fantastic too, but it was really annoying. Anytime I think of the new backlight mod for Game Boy Colors, I just can't help but think of the Shacklethorn auction from Payday 2, and that's all I can think about. So I can never remember the name of it because of that. Anyways, that's all for the video. Hope you guys have learned something new here. If you want a super in-depth video on anything I showed off here, maybe more in-depth on what I did here or other mods, I'll try to buy some maybe and show you how to install them and the nitty-gritty of it. For example, like the front light. There's plenty of front light videos out there, but if you want maybe a more in-depth video of the way I do it, just let me know. Or maybe changing the speaker, or how to figure out if it works or not, or this, that, and the other. Or just diagnosing bad Game Boys, or how I fixed this one. I still have one more to fix, so if you want to see me fix that one on camera, just let me know, and I'll post a video. Anyways, thank you for watching. Have a good one.